we're fortunate enough to beat a really good team. I mean, a really good team. I'm watching these guys on video, and you know, they got some experience. You know, the whole league is still pretty young. You don't see many teams with like 4 or 5 seniors. But what they've had right now is they've had freshmen. Freshmen come in, as we've seen ourselves, freshmen come in different packages, right? You got the Karis LeVert, you get the DJ Wilson, you get the Mo Wagners, who is freshmen, right? It's tough for them to come in. Their bodies aren't ready, or there's people in front of them, and it's tough, but they become tremendous players. And then you got the Nick Stauskas and Trey Burks, Mitch McGarry's, their bodies are ready, right? And they come in. They got guys like we had in 13. I mean, they have really guys that can come in and play, and then they great point guard, great big man, and just really fortunate to get this win. I think this team will compete for a Big Ten championship, right, this year in the tournament, and then in the NCAA, they can be a very good team. We all got to have breaks go our way like they've gone for us, but we just beat a good team. I'm elated about these last 2 Saturdays of the way we've responded to good teams coming to our building, great crowds, and playing just good Michigan basketball.
All right.
You can help watch that. Got a little cough going on here.
All right.
John, you know, a couple weeks ago at Iowa, kind of struggled defensively against a team that had really good big men. Maryland also has really good big men. What was the difference today, defensively?
You know, I think we've learned to play more physical in the last 2 games. Taught us, Iowa lost, Penn State, our losses have taught us we can play physical without fouling. I think in Iowa we were in foul trouble immediately, and that put us behind the 8 ball. Not only do you got him on the bench, when you have him in, he's not as aggressive, and that's what has happened in both those type of games.
Was there any benefit to having both, you know, Teskey and Isaiah in there for long stretches today?
I mean, it's sort of normal, right? We're going to have Johnny, we're going to have John, right? And Isaiah's going to flip around a little bit. We give Brandon a couple of minutes to get John a rest. John's in a wrestling match at one end. He needed more rest today, but he did a tremendous job on Fernando in the first half. In the second half, if he got the ball on the block 15 times and scored 10 points, we'll take that every single day. And so that's what John was able to do.
Jay?
John, in the second half there, I think it was Cowan missed a 3, and then Jordan got the ball off the rebound from Isaiah. He drives all the way in, manages to sink it. Did you have a feeling that was going to spark the offense?
No, I didn't know at that time because we were really frustrated at that time. We weren't getting good looks. We weren't, and they were getting really good looks. And he missed a 3, and I thought that was a pretty. And I think we took JP Grade out after that because we just felt that he's playing a lot of minutes, and that can wear on you over the time. So we were trying to get him a little bit of rest, get him to play better defense as well if he's more rested. I didn't know at that time, but that was. That and then any 3 that we hit in the second part of the first half, whether it was Iggy's, John's, Xavier's, they were just huge to get us back because it was going south pretty quick. We couldn't get anything to go, and they were getting really easy shots.
And then 6 turnovers in the first half, 0 in the final 20 minutes. How proud of you of your team's ball?
Yeah, that was. I mean, when was the last time you saw one of our games where we were 15-6 with assist turnovers? So. I think that the ball still sticks at times, but the ball's moving better. We're seeing each other, and that's the way we're going to have to play.
Down in front on the right.
So Xavier, you know, a couple of those assists. It looks like he was going up with the kind of the hook shot that's, you know, he's kind of become famous for, and then he passed it out, hit a couple guys on 3s. How much more versatile can his offensive skill set really go?
Well, I think that he was when he first came here. He was starting to, you know, he depended on himself to score a lot. He was a tremendous high school player, but he scored a lot of points. He had to understand that at his size and in this league, you got to be creative for yourself and for others, and that's what we're seeing from him all the time right now. I mean, his dribble, we call it hockey. You know how a hockey player goes underneath the net and comes back? He played hockey that time, and John read the hockey and came in behind. That's pretty basketball.
Down over here with John.
Just to follow up there, particularly when it got close, he made some plays. Not
Who
just
was it?
Xavier.
Yeah.
Making plays, not just shots, the no-look feed to Teskey. Does he take it on himself when it gets tight like that?
His leadership right now is as good as anybody we've ever had. He and Charles. Charles is not as demonstrative and not as, it doesn't talk as much. Xavier is talking. You know, we had longer timeouts today, And so what we were doing is, you know, we put them in the, let them talk amongst themselves. And I saw Xavier one time take the whiteboard and start to talk to a couple of guys. So he's got that it that you need to lead a team, and the team respects him.
Stay here with Jacob.
John, I think after the Minnesota game, you said sometimes in transition we shouldn't even do it because we're
Right.
just jogging the court. What do you make of fast?
It's been a big, they see it. They see the analytics on it, that we're a very middling offensive transition, and we showed them, we showed them stats from other years, and I said, we're doing the exact same thing, right? We haven't said, we don't have a new fast break. We don't have almost any rules other than get wide, make sure we fill some lanes, and we didn't change our game plan, so this one's not on the coaching staff right now. This is on you. You got to run and you got to look up, and it's just basketball today. Maybe we'd have a rebound and 3 guys running the same lane. One of them could have taken the right lane, but they're not seeing it. And if I had to go back into the summertime, that would have been one of the things I sort of took that for granted, that people understand how to get wide and run. We really didn't, and that's on me.
On the right with Andrew.
Following up on that, when you got power forwards that can handle the ball, like Isaiah and Iggy, I mean, do you want them pushing it ahead?
Yeah, we want them busting out. If we can trust them, and it comes over time. Different guys that were like matched up with the other 4-man, right? If we can trust him, we want him to go. Like a Glenn Robinson, we would let go on that. Zach Novak, we'd let go, right? And so Iggy and Isaiah are there. We'd like their assist numbers to be higher. But the ultimate thing is get the ball to Xavier. But it's very hard to guard a bust-out 4. Somebody's going to take him. It means now, probably the point guard, it means now the point guard is being guarded by a 4 in space. That's usually good.
And then Charles, I mean, I don't recall him guarding a guy like Calvin,
Yep.
guard like that.
That was they decided to do that themselves, right? I think actually Luke might have had something. I just said he came off a couple of screens, running away from the basket, almost impossible to stop, with a 6-footer on a 6-footer. So we went with length on him. His man did not. I think his man scored at the end. Whoever he was guarding, it wasn't Ayala at the end, only because he didn't want to foul. He shut out anybody that he guarded. Really an incredible performance. And he was tired too. And they wanted my assistants were thinking we should give him a timeout, and I just refused. I'll call a timeout before we give him get him off the court.
On the left with Ethan.
Isaiah mentioned that Charles has been a little bit more vocal lately.
Mm-hmm.
What effect do you think that's had on everybody?
That's big. I mean, it's really big. We got to encourage him to, to just even. He does not like attention on himself, right? He does not like it. And so when you're talking, everybody's looking at you. He'd rather just lead by example. But we have, like I said, we have such a young team. We don't even have a true senior on this team. Somebody has to do it. We need another voice besides X. John's talking more too, but still that's not John's deal. So we need another leader, and he's doing it.
What do you think has compelled him to kind of step up?
I think a sense of urgency right now. I mean, he's playing his 4th year of college basketball. He's the opportunity to graduate. This could be his last year of college basketball, right? He's got a sense of urgency to win this year and make a decision after the season, but win this year so that he doesn't look back and say, I didn't do enough in my senior year.
Chris?
John was so short on most of his shots today. Talk about the one he made, and then you think that was a result of how hard he's working on the defensive end?
Yeah, without question. He's in a wrestling match. He's lifting barbells at the other end. I mean, you're like this, and all of a sudden now you got to do this fine skill at the other end. And so it's hard for him to do that, but he was really short. And so he's just got to, what I like, he kept shooting it. And that 3 was as big as we had. I think it might have been, they might have got to 8, and all of a sudden we're back to 11. And he didn't flinch on it. So that was really good, but he had a very flat shot today with everything, even the foul shooting. And that could be fatigue.
All right.
John, how do you get the same level of consistency in offense?
Say it again?
How do you get the same level of consistency in offense throughout the tournament?
Well, everybody's this is a great defensive team. They were holding people to 38%. I mean, I think that is a blend of having a good game plan and also individual development for them, which we haven't been able to do as much if we're so concerned about their legs. We're so concerned about keeping them fresh, and maybe we're not doing enough of just one-on-one moves, of getting the ball in the paint with 2 feet, pivoting, things that we have to work at, shielding the ball and playing in the post. So we got to keep working on it, but we can't win the practice and lose the game. We still got to have a good balance there.
And then Dave today, how do you think he did?
He did great. Great layup. It was a great layup. I think that's his first basket in the Big Ten, right? And he's really been playing well, and we just said, you know what, right? We can use Eli in some ways, but it's time for David right now to back up X, much like X backed up Derek Walton. Just get him a blow here before the media, right? And then X got in foul trouble, and then he played 4 or 5 good minutes, right? I felt when he missed a couple jump shots, a freshman might not be as apt to take it. That's when I put Eli back in to shoot it too.
Down in front with Ryan.
John Teske is not necessarily a volume shooter by any means, but he kept shooting even after he was missing a bit in the beginning. Can you speak to his resilience, just the team's resilience in the offensive end today?
Yeah, I think that this is something that he has to do. We can't turn back and say, John, you're not shooting anymore, right? Because while he still develops a back to the basket game, that is something that he has not proven to be consistent with, that he's proven he can do. So we got to find ways to score points. And if a pick and pop 3, 5-man is one of those ways, we're going to keep going with it.
Brendan?
The last 2 years, the whole defensive identity thing kind of developed over the course of the year. This year, it was there from day one. You know, the Villanova game, you just kind of had that. Have you found it difficult to maintain certain levels of that kind of, defensive team? This is the identity over the course of the year.
I think you saw it at Penn State. That was our worst defensive game in 2 years. We came out and the tension, it's going to happen. You're just not going to play 30, 32 perfect defensive games. You're just going to have games and foul trouble and things like that that will blow it up. But there was a sense of urgency today. There was nobody. I mean, Coach Luke is the same way every game. He prepares the same. But it's hard for these young men to do this. And I had no doubt. You know, we might not make shots and we might not do it. I had no doubt our defense would be strong today.
James?
John, it seems like Isaiah's playing with a much more aggressive mindset the past few games.
Yeah, it's something we've been talking with him a lot. I mean, he leaves a lot on the table. He shoots threes well, but there's another element to his game that he's still developing, and we got to encourage it. So he's, I thought at one time he drove baseline, should have just went up and dunked it, but he deferred and made another good play and kicked it out. But he's got to understand angles better, and he's learning them, and we just got to keep teaching him because he's a tremendous athlete, but he's leaving too much on the table. By not having more of an edge of him at driving, and so but he's aware of it, and we're working on it.
I guess how much more easy you feel in those late game situations with Xavier at the line?
Yeah, we're shooting 75% from the line in Big Ten play. I mean, that's pretty good. 8 for 10 today, and Xavier just going and knocking them down. So he's worked really hard at it. He's worked very hard at things off the court. Right, of just visualization and things like this that would make him a really good player. So that was a big 1-and-1 today because it's still, 2-3 minutes to go, 1-and-1. He just buries them both. Well, now they're not going to foul. If he misses them, they're going to foul him right away. And we know how that can sort of all continue. It can escalate. It can snowball.
Taylor, you want to close this out?
John, the offense was really clicking the first 10, 15 minutes. What kind of changed offensively after that?
I think we got in foul trouble. We lost a little bit of our, we put some young guys in. The young guys, we were playing at a clip, number one, that wasn't going to be incredible. That we were running, we were getting stops, and we were running. We created 13 turnovers in the first half. We stopped creating turnovers, and so now we had dial-up plays and get more into a half-court thing, and we turned it over 6 times. I think 3 or 4 were during that time. So it's just not a matter of schematically we changed. It was a matter we stopped defending, we stopped getting turnovers. They started not turning over, and then our fast break we didn't run as well. And those were times when Brandon was in there, David was in there, Eli was in there, and they're just sort of feeling what they have to do next.
Okay, Coach.
Okay, thanks.